Hello, Angry Spork here with Young Justice Season 3, Episode 20, Quiet Conversations. And it turns out we start out with a bit of a loud conversation because it's New Year's in Hollywood, and Cyborg gets a call from his dad, however he got his number. And, given their tense relationship, he's not too thrilled about it. You never come to my games, you don't give me the space, and so he just hangs up, and he starts feeling pain, and he stumbles into an alley. And jump ahead several hours to daytime, and Fred Bug just happens to be walking along, and you see his reflection in a window, and you can see that it's Forager. And I guess his bug senses were tingling because he detects that Victor Stone is nearby and carries him back to the Hollywood base and calls everyone in. He calls them hive drones, like, just the way he is. Sets Victor down, and Dr. Jace goes to check on him, and he says, well, I guess Father Box just wants me to be a big old Father Box. And, he pulls down his hoodie. The cybernetic parts are encompassing more of his body, and while there are still the bright red lines on his arms, his head, there's something a bit more like purplish pink or something like that. Kind of a pinkish color from what I saw, maybe a fuchsia. For some reason, his head, the glowing lines on his face do not match his arms. Don't know what that could mean. So Vic is laid up. Superboy's brought along Dreamer, one of the Forever people from New Genesis, and she says, hey, we got a cure for you. It's the chair of Metron, because he invented the father boxes, the mother boxes, the boom tubes, all sorts of wonderful, wacky stuff, and that's the only thing that's gonna save Vic. And then there's a commotion outside. Jace checks on it, and, well, they've discovered that Violet is gone. Artemis says, she knew something was up, but the girl wouldn't say anything, and Jace said that she talked to Violet, but never about leaving. Oh, Dr. Jace, you're evil! Tara brings up Violet's confession about what Gabrielle did, and, Artemis basically states what a lot of Halo's fans would. This is a different person, not Gabrielle, it's Violet. Jace has to stay with Cyborg. Artemis is going to go look for Halo, but Forager wants to stick with Cyborg too, and Tara wants to help look for, their missing teammate. So, school's out. Dreamer says that Cyborg has got to, keep it cool, or his stress might, advance his problem, and she's going to leave a mother box with Superboy so they can go find Metron, because there was kind of an altercation between Metron and Bear. He punched him good. She's gonna sit this one out, and says, hey, mother box, I'll take care of all your travel needs, basically. And so, and the boom tube that mother box opens is kind of loud. Superboy opens up another boom tube, which kind of annoys Victor. No more boom tubes in the house. And Superboy's gonna go, Black Lightning's going, he kisses Jace goodbye. Man, he's gonna be so disappointed when it's revealed that she's evil. Because in case you haven't noticed, I'm pretty sure she's evil. Forager asks if Brionne's gonna come along, but no, he's staying behind. So Forager's last one through the tube. So they portal right to Metron, but he's in a cave, flying in his chair forward, and they run out of the cave, only to find that it's not so much a cave as the nose of a great big dude in the source wall. Surprisingly, not as many boogers as you'd think. Speaking of boogers, McGann is talking to Harper Row at Happy Harbor High. She notices a bruise right in this area, and she covers it up, saying that she and her brother were roughhousing. Of course, probably not the truth. Megan mentions that Violet has run away and wonders if maybe Harper knows where she is, and she doesn't. But hey, must be nice to have people that care about you. Yeah, I kind of figured this was going to be the case. And it's actually not bad to develop her this way, that she comes from a very abusive home, an outcast of sorts, and she is acting up just to get attention. But, Like, she was just such a horribly written character in the comics. This feels like validating her. And it's like, I don't want anything from the Eternal books validated, because it was all just, not very good or not very well done. So Artemis and Tara ask Sphere if he can find Violet, and Sphere transforms into Super Cycle, and off they go. Speaking of, she's gone back to Karak and reunited with Gabrielle's family. Oh, that's going to be an awkward conversation. At the Taos facility, Aquaman is talking to the young woman that can only breathe in water from Clarion's little party. The only way to get to communicate with her, really, is to transport her to Atlantis. I think Poseidonus, whatever. A city named after Poseidon, let's call it that. And he uses some magic he's a little rusty in, so basically universal translator magic. She apparently is of Indian descent, because she's not sure if she's speaking English or if Aquaman is speaking Hindi, and, well, they can understand each other. That's what's important. And back at the Hollywood base, Silas Stone is Zeta tubing in, and Cyborg don't like that one bit. So you know how Victor's supposed to stay calm and not stress because the father box is going to consume him? Well, guess what happens? The opposite. So his pappy says medically induced coma. It's the best option. That way the father box won't overtake him and he won't lose his temper. He personally, puts his son under. Jace takes a call. I wonder from who. Meanwhile, Forager, Black Lightning, and Superboy are following Metron from the heads of these Promethean gods to a battleground with parademons. And wouldn't you know it, Superman is there. So the trio help out fighting a bit. Superboy deals a fastball special with Forager, and like, Superman's surprised to see Con-El there, and Connor's just like, "Hey Cal, how you doing?" And when everything dies down a little, Connor asks him to be his best man. And Superman says, "Sure." Wait, what? He hasn't been told that he proposed to Megan. As for why the parademons were there, they were stealing ore for Darkseid and Granny Goodness, and of course, Black Lightning makes the connection. Oh, that Granny. And they tell him, "We need you to come back with us because our friend is unwell." And Metron's like, "Nah." Black Lightning specifies that their friend is suffering from his assimilation from Father Box technology. Metron's like, "Oh yeah, sure, let's go." So they teleport away. So back at the high school, Megan mentions how she saw Harper's brother Cullen with a black eye, and Harper specifies, "Hey, if I give certain details, we'll be put into foster care, we'll probably be separated," so she's sticking with the rough housing scenario. Though, of course, Megan's not buying it. And, of course, this is going to lead to either Megan taking them in or her, finding somewhere in Gotham to send them. Violet talks to her mom and her cousin. She's revealed that, she's dying and that she's already seen the best doctor. She's consulted her best colleagues, and there's really nothing they can do. Feels very sudden. She's selective on what she says to whom. Like, she's not saying, like, how she got the Markovian royalty killed. So Calder's taken the young woman to Atlantis, and they meet up with King Orin, the former Aquaman. She doesn't tell her name, and she says, "And I'm not going to." That seems rather defensive, and I'm not sure why. It's like, does she think she's going to be kicked out if they don't like her name or something? I'm not sure. I've read chatter that she's supposed to be Dolphin, which is possibly why Beast Boy changed into a dolphin after he got her into the water. But anyway, she asks why the king stopped being Aquaman. And he says, "Well, ruling an entire kingdom is responsibility enough, and I had always intended Calder to take up the reins as Aquaman when he was ready. And he mentions that, what good work the Outsiders are doing. The Outsiders are trending in Atlantis, guys! Brings up their defeat of Professor Ivo, and, at first Calder's, looking a little conflicted before he says, yes, the Outsiders did a very good job. And you can tell the young woman picks up on this when they head towards a previously promised rendezvous. So Chase is having her phone call saying there's not much they can do without finding her first. I'm assuming they're talking about Halo. And she sees Brion out on the balcony. And she notes how he hasn't been speaking very much. I'm certain it has nothing to do with the fact that his voice actor probably wasn't called in for this episode. She says, your work with the Outsiders has made your people remember that they really dig you. So, he manages a little itty-bitty smile. So back in Vic's room, Superboy, Forager, Black Lightning, and Metron boom tube in. Okay, he's here. He's gonna save Vic. And they're introduced to Victor's dad. And Metron's like, oh, I'm not here to save Vic. I've never seen anyone overtaken by a father box before. Gotta study this, science. My son's going to die. Death is commonplace. Phil Lamar does such a great job in this role. I love Jefferson. He turns to Superboy and says, Dreamer said we needed Metron's chair. Not Metron. So Superboy just immediately throws him out of his chair. And Metron recovers excellently. He kind of rolls and he's like, he's all boastful how he's a new god, just smacks Connor away. And then Jefferson just pours on the lightning. Says, hey, if you're a god, you can handle this. And Brion and Jace run in, and he tells them to get Victor into the chair. Then we cut back to Atlantis, where Calder is introducing the young woman to his parents, guessing that at least one of them is more of an adopted thing, because, Black Manta being his biological pappy. She's going to be staying with them, and it turns out that, I guess his stepfather, foster father, whatever, he's from the surface world too. What a coinky-dink. The young woman says, I want to have a moment alone with your son. They swim off. She says that she could tell that Calder was lying to the king, though the king probably didn't suspect. She also senses that he thinks he's a bad guy for lying, but she says bad people don't feel bad when they lie. And, gives him a little kiss on the cheek and then swims off, making him feel so much better. So, back with Megan and Harper, they start talking about the gun, which Ro is like that. She says, it was Violet's gun. She was caught with it, so it's all hers. But Megan doesn't say, no, it wasn't or anything. She just says, okay, let's say hypothetically it is Violet's gun. Why'd she have it? And Harper hypothetically says to keep it away from the abusive drunk that she lives with. Of course, talking about her own dad. And, Megan goes on alcohol and guns, not a good mix, but you were caught with both. And, she tells her that she's seen plenty of bruises on Harper, but not a whole lot on Cullen. And as Harper's trying to walk out, she's saying, you've always been, the one he could hide behind until you got arrested and thrown in jail. And that's why he has a black eye. And Megan's saying she can help Harper and her brother, do better, make better decisions, have a better life. But she has to be honest, and she admits her father beats them. And this is actually character development. This is actually seeing a character go through struggle. And this show's done this in a couple of episodes, yet in 26 freaking issues. I'm not saying I like Harper. I still don't like Harper. Even here, she's she got drunk. She fired off a gun. She tried saying it was her friend's gun. Some friend. She's not a good person. And yeah, she's got a lousy home life. But that's not an excuse, as far as I'm concerned. Not an excuse for what she was doing. And how she was trying to pass blame to someone else. But this is the beginnings of a better character. She can grow from this. Huh? Grow? Character development? You ever heard of it, DC? Gabrielle's family is like, do you have cancer? Is it related to the whole metagene thing? What's going on? She's struggling to get out that, like the facts of the matter. Like, she switches to English, and so do they. And the mother is saying, like, you don't sound like her, and now you're saying that you're not even Gabrielle at all? And, she says, okay, I'm going to tell you everything, but you're probably not going to believe me, and you're probably not going to like it either. Then we jump back to the Hollywood base. They put Vic into the chair, and Superboy commands the mother box to tell the chair to save Vic. And, the chair follows its command. It sticks Vic with various tendrils, and you see the inside of his body. It's changing on the inside. The organics are being stabilized, and the cybernetic parts are changing as well to a more classic gray and blue. And eventually it's like the job is done. And, though he's still got the red highlights on his body, and Metron's like, oh, well, saved your human friend, but I lost the studies, so screw you guys, I'm going home. And Superboy's beginning to realize why Bear punched him. Before he leaves, however, Pierce says, hey, you mentioned Granny Goodness. Is that the same person as Gretchen Good, like over here on Earth? And Metron says, no. And yes, later. Oh, what a jackwagon. So Victor's feeling much better. Silas is about to leave until Vic stops him, gives him a big old papa hug. He forgives his daddy. Violet has just finished explaining that Gabrielle was dead, and the mother box soul, was trying to heal her or fix her and got stuck. The cousin really doesn't like this, figuring she's some kind of demon, but the mother is like, no, she, I lost my husband to Queen Bee's forces, you lost your brother, and now I know what happened to my daughter. She's given the closure that she wanted. And she says, kisses her on the forehead, says she hopes there's peace with her family. The mother takes it very well. I liked how she reacted. She's angry, but she's very accepting of the situation. Sphere drops by to pick up Violet, and you see Tara hugging her. From that point on, it's like kind of like a motion comic. It's like there's the background, and the figures don't really move very much. They're kind of like panned over, or the figures themselves kind of pan over the background. They're not like moving like they normally would. And so then we got McGann dropping off the Rowe children at Child Protective Services. I'd like that to be the last we ever see of Harper Rowe. Please. Please. Keep her away from Cassie. Just keep her away. Keep her away from Gotham. Basically, the theme of the whole thing is like reunions. Like, Calder's parents are swimming with their new house guest, and the guard that was with the king when they came into the city, he meets up with Calder, and they start locking lips. So there's that. Fred Bug gives a thumbs up to Cyborg reuniting with his father. Violet reunites with the rest of the team, hugging Dr. Jace, who's evil! There's this shot of Brion looking sullen and Violet looking unsure, kind of like they're looking at each other and they don't know where the relationship stands at the moment. I mean, it's bad enough she had to tell her, past life's family that she's currently dying, and, their daughter/cousin was technically already dead. But the episode ends with Tara on the phone with Slade saying that, yeah, my report's late, but that's because there's been nothing to report. It's been really quiet around here. And that's when the episode ends. There's a notice for, a national hotline to call in cases of domestic abuse. Nice touch. The video kind of cut out before the credits rolled, so I don't know what was rolling over the credits. So yeah, We got more action. I liked the scene with Superman. I liked seeing him again. I liked his interaction with Khan. He's been in space so long, of course he doesn't know. He got engaged. I sympathize for the situation they're putting Harper Row in. Real life, it's nothing to laugh about, of course, and it's not anything you want to wish on anyone else. But, like I said, it's a good way to actually develop the character. It explains why she's this rebel and she acts out the way she does, but it doesn't validate it. And that was the problem with her comic incarnation. She had a rough life in the comics, but we didn't see a lot of it. It was mostly talked about, and I remember her brother got a pejorative shaved into his head by school children, and their father was verbally abusive, but they never showed any panels of him smacking his children around. It's been a while since I read the early Harper Row stuff, so I don't know if physical abuse was the case. But again, they did a lot to kind of skirt any kind of development with that character in the comics. So if you're going to bring this character back up for any reason, keep the Gotham bats out of it. Just keep them away from her. I just don't validate Batman and Robin Eternal. Bad. It was bad. Calder, apparently into dudes now. I mean, he had a thing for Tula, Aquagirl, but that was really more kind of an unrequited thing. They never really got together. He found out that she was with Garth, and she died in between seasons 1 and 2, as depicted in the Young Justice poorly sold a video game that has its problems, but it's not absolutely horrible. It definitely needed some more polish. So it's not like he was... So it was kind of like with Bart Allen, where it's not really heavily depicted that he went out with a lot of girls or he flirted with a lot of girls or anything. He was always this very stoic guy. And he did actually make out with Rocket, so maybe he could just be bisexual. I don't know. And it doesn't really bother me. He's original to the series, so it's not like they're radically warping a classic character. Tara's turn, I would have been certain that finding out that one of her teammates in a past life, so to speak, was responsible for the death of her parents. I figured that would galvanize her more to Slade's side, but it seems to have had the opposite effect. We haven't really gotten much into her mind as to why she's had this change of heart. I mean, we've seen her train with Artemis and realize, hey, you can train in the martial arts without having your bones broken by your master. Ooh, the thunk it! This is something extremely different. This forgiving of Violet. I like that she seems to have changed her mind, but I don't think that's really going to save her. I think that it's going to be revealed she was a mole before Slade, and even though she's changed her mind, it's not really necessarily going to solve all the problems. So we'll see where it goes later. Maybe it's just I've been so focused on other stuff I'm forgetting some things, I don't know. But yeah, I will see you next time. Later.